Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the Huntress changes that are coming with the new chapter on the PTB. I am a Huntress player. I've played her so much since her release. I play her casually, I play her in comp, and I've got a lot of opinions on the three main changes that are coming to Huntress. These are base kit changes, these aren't just add-ons, so this will affect every single Huntress who is playing the game. The first change I want to mention is the increase of base hatchets. They're increasing it from 5 to 7, and there's no nerf coming to the two add-ons that increase your hatchet count. The infantry belt increases it by 2, and leather loop increases it by 1. There is no nerf, there is no changes to those add-ons, so if you stack them, you get a base hatchet amount of 10. That is so many hatchets. And for this change, I love it. Thumbs up. I do want to mention first that if you are making a Huntress throw and miss 5 hatchets, that is a huge skill issue on her part. She really shouldn't be running out of hatchets in the middle of a chase. What this is doing is allowing the Huntress to not have to stop to reload after every single chase. Chasing a survivor should take 2 to 3 hatchets dependent on how incredibly good her aim is. But if you miss even one more and you are left with 1 hatchet, I am not going to be chasing a fresh hook survivor with just 1. I'm always going to stop to reload. So increasing her base hatchet amount from 5 to 7 means that probably after every chase, you don't actually need to stop at a locker to reload. That is going to be really good for her map pressure. She doesn't have to stop to do an animation at a locker every single time she wants to start a brand new chase. Overall, that's a good change. Increases her map pressure, rewarding her for leaving the hook. I don't mind that she can stack infantry belt and leather loop and get 10 hatchets, because honestly, that isn't an add-on that she is using for something else. That's just meaning that she's going to have a ton of hatchets. And that is completely fine by me. She shouldn't be running out of hatchets during a chase anyway. Okay, moving on. They are increasing Huntress's base wind-up speed by 10%. And to compensate, they are nerfing her 2 wind-up speed add-ons. The Flowered Babushka is going from 12% increase to 10. The Mana Grass Braid is coming from an 8% increase down to 5. And once again, I really like this change. 10% isn't an incredibly huge amount, but lately, maps have become very, very cluttered, and as a consequence, Huntress's power has been taking a huge blow. It is already so difficult playing her on an indoor map, but even when the outdoor maps feel like indoor maps, it is just incredibly frustrating. A really good example that I like to bring up is Sheltered Woods. This map has been so incredibly cluttered. You can't go 2 feet without running into 10 billion rocks and trees. It is really hard for her to use her power here without having to just go right up against a survivor on the back to just try to use a hatchet. It is really unfun for the Huntress not being able to use her power in any sort of creative or fun way, so I love this base wind-up change. Her wind-up has been the exact same since she was released a long time ago, so I really like this change. It's bringing her more in line with the recent killers that we have, killers who are able to activate their power quicker. Pyramid Head can stick his sword in the ground and get a wave of torment. Deathslinger can bring up his gun faster. This really is just bringing her more in line with the killers that have been released. So 10 out of 10 change, I really like it. However, I don't really like that the add-ons weren't nerfed more. Stacking these add-ons with the base increase will make her power wind up 25% faster, as opposed to the old, where if you wound up stacking them, you got 20%. I would really like it if they just brought it back down to just being 20%. Nerf Mana Grass Braid or the Babushka just a little bit more. It's mostly because I am not really a fan of wind-up add-ons in general. It closes the gap of survivors being able to react to your power, and that can create really unfun scenarios. You have to take into account ping as well. People aren't just going to have 0 ping to you all the time. So when you make her power charge a little bit faster, you are just closing that gap, and it can just create for really unfun scenarios for survivors who are not able to react to your hatchets in time. I would honestly love it if they just deleted the Mana Grass Braid entirely and just left Flowered Babushka as being the only wind-up add-on you get. Because if you use the Flowered Babushka with the increase to her base wind-up speed, it increases it by 20, what the old add-ons were if you stacked them. I've always not really been a fan of add-ons that do the same thing in different tiers, because usually killers can just kind of stack them and create an incredibly strong effect. Example, Deathslinger with his double reload speed. Old example, Nurse with her double recharge for her blinks. I think the reason they do this is because if you don't have the extremely powerful version of an add-on you want, you could just use a lesser one that is a less rarity, but it never ends up being like that. So I really just am not a fan of making two add-ons just do the same thing in different rarities, especially because of the next change that we have for Huntress. Increasing movement speed while holding a hatchet from 3.08 meters per second to 3.54 meters per second. I'm not really a numbers person, so I just went in and recorded it, and here are the examples next to each other. This is base movement speed, and this is the new base movement speed on the PTB. Now, I actually am quite a bit of a fan of this change as well. Like I said, with the increase to wind-up speed, this is just sort of bring Huntress in line with current killers. And to make up for the fact that maps have become super cluttered, we have way more indoor maps than what we had when we first started this game. Huntress is just sort of outdated, and I love that they're just bringing her up to par with everybody else. However, I still have a little bit of a problem with this because there was no nerf to the singular add-on that increased your movement speed while you were holding a hatchet, the shiny pin. It increases your movement speed while winding up and holding a hatchet by 5%. Now with the new base movement speed, plus that 5%, you were actually incredibly close to being the same speed as a survivor while holding a hatchet as they're just running. You lose very little distance. You do lose distance, don't get me wrong, but it's very little. And my main problem that I have with this is that people's main issue with Huntress as a character is her zoning potential. You can raise a hatchet and then slowly walk towards a survivor while holding it to try to zone them into an area, and making her movement speed while holding a hatchet just makes that even worse. And when you equip Shiny Pin, you are moving so incredibly fast and you lose so little distance, you are just making it so much more difficult for survivors to be able to react to your hatchet and possibly try to make you miss. And also, with the Shiny Pin, you can just use it at a short walled loop. You could just get around it way quicker and try to force a survivor in a situation where they just lose. And that could be incredibly unfun. My problem doesn't really lie with the base buff changes that are coming to this, it's really just the Shiny Pin add-on being not nerfed. It actually looks pretty goofy to see how incredibly quickly she could walk with her hatchet out. And also there is another point that I really don't like is that if you are at a tall walled loop and the Huntress is doing this little mind game of her, am I going to wind up at the pallet? Am I not going to wind up at the pallet? Are you just going to walk through? Are you going to throw the pallet and punish me for doing it? This add-on makes it so that you could just feather your power similar to how Pyramid Head does it. You could just wind up right before the pallet, and if the survivor walks right through, you're really not punished that hard. Unless they drop the pallet and called the fact that you were going to wind up and walk through, you can just walk through with your hatchet raised and get a hit on the other side. Or you can just drop the hatchet that you are holding and you barely lose any sort of distance. While this mind game does exist in another killer like Pyramid Head, I don't really like it. And I want the people who are in my games to have fun going against the killer. It takes 5 people to play in a game, and if I'm getting people who DC against me all the time as Huntress, then that's not really fun. Overall, I do like the base change, but the fact of the matter is that you needed to nerf Shiny Pin, or just make it do something completely different. What behavior could do is just change the Soldier's Putty into a yellow add-on, and then create a whole new add-on where we have Ricochet Hatchets. Come on, behavior, please. I know you have the coding. So with these changes to an already A-tier killer, will be seeing her kill rate skyrocket? Well, probably not. She's not even in the top 10 for the highest kill rate. She is, however, in the top 10 for the pick rate because Huntress is just so lovely. I don't think anybody needs to freak out over these small changes because, like I said, this is just bringing Huntress up to date with the way that Dead by Daylight has evolved, with map changes, with killer changes, with the power creep that is happening to all the old killers. If you see in this update, all the killers that are being updated are just older killers. We have Huntress, we have the Pig, we have Doctor, we have Hag. A lot of add-on changes, a lot of base kit changes, just updating them to be on par with the way that they have been designing recent killers. And also, this update feels like it's more of an accessibility thing for console players because Huntress is a little bit harder to play on a lower frame rate, plus the analog stick. These little base kit changes will make it feel more fluid and a lot better for those players that are just casually playing. Thank you all so much for listening. If you want to see me play more Huntress, I've got a lot of videos on YouTube you can select from, or you can stop by my Twitch channel. I like to yap, so if you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely love my live content. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Yeah! Got him. Hey! Oh, that was so close.
Come here, I got another one for you. Over there. Yeah, take that one too.
Ooh. What if I charge it all the way? That's insane. Oh my god. That's a new killer feel. He's kind of fun. I like him. He's interesting. Ah! He's a little interesting. Built-in flashlight defense is good. Is he actually coming this way? No way.